these kids, like they're boyfriend girlfriend relationships over the summers. People break up. People go on vacation. They come back with like, oh, I had this torrid summer love affair. Did you? Or did you just meet somebody, hook up with them, and they're going to forget about you tomorrow? I mean, how many times? I mean, remember, we talked about, that camp counselor by the man, Dan, down the river.
Yep.
I wonder if he had a girlfriend.
Sheesh. I hope he did. I hope he had someone to give him some company.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, remember he said the mentor that sucked? He was like, this guy who said, all I got is this camp. And I'm like,
he was a nice guy.
Yeah, but imagine him. He's the person, no girlfriend. He's the person who's like, I don't see her at my wedding. I think he's how many men, I want you at home to ask yourself this. Are you planning your wedding? Because I never planned my wedding. Here's what I told my brothers. And my brothers actually laughed at me a couple months ago. We're at the NCAAs, and I told my brothers, hey, fellas, I think I might be settling down. And my brothers laughed at me, and they said, you the 50-year-old pimp at everybody's wedding. Shut up. I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're the 50-year-old. Listen, you got that swag, Akil. You got that swag. And my brothers are just being honest with me because they've known me longer than almost anybody, other than my parents directly. So if you have that swag and you're not in a committed relationship, in your 40s, most likely by the time you're 50, you're probably not going to be in a marriage, but you'll still be that swagginess when at the wedding, like, hey, I can come in and I can play around. I may not do anything, mainly because you throw your back out when you get to be my age. But
I don't know. I don't know if I buy all this.
Are people going to be the swaggy? You don't buy swagginess?
I think that might be for you, for that you can pull that off. But I think when you start seeing like 50-year-old guys, like, and you start like, I think that you have the it factor, and if you have the it factor, you can get away with a lot of shit. That's what I've learned in my 50 years. Doesn't matter if you have the it factor. That's how it works. I'm 50. I'm thinking about the relationship that I've had for the last 23 years, and like that ending, and then I'm thinking that I'm not thinking I wouldn't get married again. I'm not thinking anything, but again, maybe I'm not the majority.
How old were you when you got married?
Oh, 23 years, I'm 50. So 30.
27.
How old do you want to be when you get married? Where's your max number? Not like next year. Like, how old would be the max amount of time?
Okay, the least amount of time would be like 28.
Okay,
like, that'd be
within the next 3 years. Okay,
yeah, and then the max would be like 34.
Okay, so here's something funny. So when I was 28, I told the person that I've been dating, I said, hey, if we're not married by 40, we'll get together. That was a stupid ass bet. I can't stand their ass. But I was just like, we'll get together when we're 40. No, we're not. Yeah, and thank God, because like now, it's like I'm heading in that 40 direction. I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to spend 15 minutes with that person, let alone raise any child with them or anything else. So it's like, it's cool to like see somebody like, hey, good to see you for 5 minutes every 5 years.
Right.
But you don't want to be with that person. And I'm thinking, when are young men and young women, what's there going to be their timelines? So we're at a population decline, but we're kind of not. What they're saying is that younger generations are having far fewer kids. Also, the younger generations are stuck between a rock and a hard place because the world is like exploding every other freaking day. So, who wants to have kids?
Well, it's expensive.
Yeah, but it's also exploding, like climate change, expenses, and like
mass shootings.
They're into like communal living these days. A lot of like, again, this goes back to that prom thing that we we're just trying to talk about. Everyone just went to prom together.
As soon as the government gives you incentives to guess what?
Yeah,
That's
starts
what
popping them out. Like if I definitely was more financially stable and like more comfortable with where I'm at, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, let's do this. But it's like I want to be like a little bit more comfortable,
dumber, and with nothing that are creating babies right now.
I'm
well
aware.
Scary.
I see it on my Facebook or Instagram every day. I'm like, oh, you're gonna You're gonna have a baby with that?
Yeah,
Like,
you and
all
Chad are
right,
having kids, huh?
Good luck.
All right.
Oh, it was a Tinder hookup gone bad, and she's gonna keep it. It's like, thank God, I'm not that dude. Good luck, brother.
Tinder hookups go wrong.
Oh, and then Tinder. I mean, is it just like this self-devolving hot tub of just body fluid and just like
No.
Well, I mean,
it
most
sounds
of
like
the
it.
people.
If I want to have sex with you,
No, it's swipe left, swipe. Do you remember hotornot.com?
no.
Oh my God. You first off, you just weren't cool. Hotenough.com. Yes, it's from the 90s. It's like hot or not. It was like right, left. That's it. Like if she's hot, you click right, not click left. That was it. And that's all it was like. It was buttons like no, yes, and we would sit.
So you're on there and like
Too much game for that.
No,
there's some people that just like.
game for
I have
that.
friends that will just go and just
until
try to
somebody
get as many as they
swipe
can,
right,
and then they're
because they don't want to pay for they
DMs,
just don't want to pay for
Are
that.
you kidding?
They just don't want to pay for the service.
When I was briefly on it,
They just don't want to pay the $9.99 per month.
When I was briefly on it, I remember there was just like every girl in there is like, well, yeah, I'm looking for a relationship. I'm like, yeah, me too. Like just totally fucking bullshit. And then you're like, you go on the one date. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. You're like, okay, whatever. And you just keep moving.
Did anybody ever did any cat like that was super smart ever just go #me too? Did anybody ever?
I'm
drop
sure.
That?
I'm
That would have
sure
been so
probably
hilarious.
You know what?
It would have been.
Yeah. So you've got the #MeToos. You've got people that are like, I know on almost every dating site, you could have seen the hashtag BLM, like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, you can like add like all the hashtags and
or
there's
here's
people
really
that are
important.
like, if you're a Trump supporter, swipe left no matter what. Like,
Yeah.
they'll
Are
write.
you serious?
Oh,
yeah.
Like a
ooh.
filter like that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just be very clear. In Washington D.C., there was a recent study. It was actually by Grindr, and Grindr is like the gay hookup app.
Mm-hmm.
That gay men who were Republicans were having a really tough time dating in Washington D.C.
Oh, no one to fuck 'em?
because people were like, if you support Trump, don't text or like
Right.
don't DM me, like don't do anything, like just block me. And apparently it trickled down into like Tinder and Bumble. Like women were like, hey, if you are a Trumpian, you cannot like just don't DM me. What I found out recently from thank you to the Daily Show, as always, Daily Show comes through. Those people, their identities are wrapped up in being like MAGA, right? Like they'll have flags and stuff and hats and wear it religiously. Yeah. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, no.
No guy, no woman, nobody wants to be around like, hey, your politics is who you are. Sorry.
How can you be so infatuated with
Yeah.
a president or something? It's like,
Yeah, it's
who
so
the
strange.
fuck cares? Like to make that your personality, it's like,
Yeah, I'm not obsessed with Joe Biden. I don't
God,
care.
no. I'm not. Okay, maybe like
He was
it'd be
just
pretty cool
touching.
if you met a girl that like her personality trait was John McCain. Think about that.
John McCain.
No, that's fucking weird. Why would you
I'm
say
just
that?
telling jokes.
I was gonna say John McCain. I was like, you mean like PTSD, Vietnam? I can't lift my arms, John. Like, come on, that guy was pretty fucked up.
I was
What
just
are you?
throwing
Okay,
it out
just
there.
he was fine. He was
No,
a
no,
US
physically,
senator.
no. John McCain
Yeah.
couldn't lift his arms up.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I know that.
Yeah, no, they broke his arms.
They
so
broke his
bad.
arms.
Wrong guy
He
to
couldn't leave.
wrong guy to
Because
hold
remember,
up.
because then Donald Trump tried to raise his hand, and Donnie's like this. What
like,
is
you got
wrong
this,
with
like-
you?
Did you guys see
he was
that
like,
Trump
you got
went-
the notes, you asshole. You knew you were
Trump
supposed
went,
to do that.
Trump went after John McCain again recently, and I saw it, and I was just cracking up to myself. I'm like, this guy just will not let it go. I don't get
It's
it.
like a bulldog with a bone. It's like, yo, you know he's been dead for like 10 years. Like he does like his kids are like, yo, shut up.
Yeah, just John McCain.
Yeah.
Him
So
and Sarah
He was a
Palin.
maverick, not Sarah Palin.
all right. Beyond politics,
such a
all I'm
bad
just
move.
saying is
Such a bad
if your sex life is wrapped up in some flag of somebody else with somebody else's name on it, I don't want to talk to you either. So swiping right, swiping left aside, that's just stupid. It's like I wouldn't. But then they complain. They're like, you're limiting our freedom of speech. It's like, no, nobody wants to date you. Like, it's just I don't have a Joe Biden flag that I wrap myself on, or even Obama. Like, fuck him too. Like, lack of a better word.
I mean, back then, if you didn't have your Obama 08 bumper sticker, I don't think you were getting any. It's pretty true. I don't know. I was like elementary school or like middle school, high school.
I always seem to end up
dating. I don't even think that's
people
true.
that were not the same political.
I just remember like being in elementary school and people making like the Obama thing. Like all these girls in my class had the Obama pins, and I remember being in like 4th or 3rd grade, being like, we're supposed to already care about this kind of stuff.
So for my generation,
what?
it would have been you would have gotten in a fist fight if you would have said who was better between Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. That would have been the same.
I was a kid that's like, I love sports, and I'm going, all these kids are like talking about Obama and McCain, and I'm like, did anybody just see Tom Brady throw for 5,000 yards?
Okay, first off, the students that you went to high school with, I can already tell, they're the people who like watching you know the old joke that
are you talking about the people he went to high school?
No, just like
I went to high school.
the high school that he went to.
Lincoln.
Okay,
like that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
You and I remember the movie Roadhouse?
That place is so weird.
Remember okay.
I know I love it. I'm not trying to be.
It was
my
a
kids
different era when I
No,
went there.
it's still all
I feel like you're different.
That school, just remember what that school gave us. That school gave us the goddamn Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like, not for not.
And Bugs
all
Bunny.
of the Simpsons,
And
that
Bugs
weird,
Bunny.
just listen, the craziness of what that person experienced comes out in his art. Where he went to a school where people were like that. They were talking about things, and it's like,
Yes.
well, why? What?
No.
Like Bart Simpson be like,
Also,
Lisa.
Bud Clark came from
Clark.
Lincoln High School. Darcel came from Lincoln High School.
Again, all these very
Mel Blunt.
odd folks that we have to deal with in our real world. It's like,
Well, they're all dead, actually, so I have to deal with them.
yeah.
Not Matt Groening. He's still alive.
Matt is still alive.
Yeah, Matt's still alive. But like that's like the oddness that comes out of this school. And he's like trying to tell people, he's like, no, we warned you guys of this. This shit was just, he probably saw this coming 40 years ago when he was in school going, this is ridiculous.
I
These
think
people
you
are
don't
mad.
ever have a concentration of wealth in a city school like you have here. Yeah. Typically, it's the reverse. Typically, the money is out in the suburbs, and they're going to really nice schools, and then the city school is like, holy shit, like the yearbook. The scholastic book you're reading has been stapled by people. It's got shit all over it. Things have been redacted. Like, are you serious? I mean, I've gone into. I went to a grade school in Pittsburgh. I went to a middle school in Pittsburgh, actually. Middle school in Pittsburgh. I was walking down the hallway, and none of the hallway lights worked. And that was real, dude. And on their locker rooms, graffiti and shit. Like you were walking in, you were going, what am I in? That was an inner city, low budge school. And guess what? It ain't equal, dog. It ain't equal. They don't get the same access to teachers.
No.
Yeah. So while I ring us back into
Sorry,
chicks and women, and effectively just saying,
Such a nerd for talking about education.
yeah, we are. Like, what are you talking about? Like weirdness. We all got to bring it back in, but bottom line,
chicks and dicks.
well, I didn't.
Come on, guys.
I didn't say anything about the. Anyway, all I'm saying is, do you think it's okay? Bottom line, to not picture somebody in your wedding, but yet still continuously date them, not hook up with them, date them, because in my mind, if you both know that it is what it is, it's just fun for now. We may not be serious, and if it develops into something serious, we're cool with it. But if you're still with somebody, knowing when you hit 30 that they're not the one, and one of them wants a kid, like you got to start making some really tough decisions, because it's now dick talk.
Because then you're just locking in, and you're either going to be miserable for a long time, and you got to deal with that, and you got to bring in a kid that's going to come into like a miserable household, or you face the repercussions of finally ending it with that person, they're like, you just wasted some of my prime years. You just did that to me, and now I'm gonna go back to square one. And
Jesus
it's
Christ.
like,
No, it's a real thing. You remember the 80s and 90s, bro. There was a lot of women who were really pissed off with a lot of dudes. Like a lot.
I don't know.
It was all over the tabloids.
Early 90s. Remember, that was when I was in the forestry stage. So in the early 90s. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but it was still about like finding the guy or girl in college, right? And like Mr. Right and blah, blah, blah. Mr. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were about Mr. Right, and also boys will be boys.
Yes.
Right. That was like, so that's all bullshit. You can't. That's
still a
anymore.
thing. Well, it's not a thing anymore.
But you know what I mean, though.
But now it's like girls will say whatever girls say, and then they can recant 10 years later.
yeah.
Or I'm just gonna say this. Is it possible that when you guys both hooked up and you guys were both drunk, and maybe one of you guys had a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you discharged your load, and immediately afterwards you felt like shit, and so you wanted that person like gone from you immediately? It wasn't going to turn into a relationship, and then all of a sudden maybe that turned into date rape? Is that possible? Because I think that's got to be, there's a variable, and the guy can't always be responsible for every scene.
I can't say yes or no.
But you know what I'm saying? Like that means that we're supposed to be responsible 99.9% of the time.
So oddly enough, in certain states, the definition of rape on the books is actually printed to mean penetration occurred.
That's what I would.
So
that's rape.
Fingers.
Sexual assault is probably fingers.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So
groping.
A woman oftentimes, because she cannot penetrate,
and
she probably won't get charged.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Real quick, this has been something I've been thinking about, and I just want to throw it out there because I got good minds, and I want everyone to think about this. I have no hypothesis. I just want to bring it up because I imagine.
So this is like a random theory you're giving us.
Random theory,
okay.
And I imagine the Supreme Court is going to review this case. But in order to go forward, you first have to understand that if you assault a female, punch a female in the face, and punch a male in the face, even though it's considered assault on a person, when you go to court and the judge is going to be giving you your sentence, they're going to look at that, right? And go, wait a minute, dude, like she's 110 pounds, she can't defend herself, right? Okay. So what happens if you get in a fight with a transgender?
And on our next episode of this, Akil resigns. So we'll have to think about that long and hard. Here's my last thought. I do think if you are involved in a relationship with a significant other, you have the moral responsibility. Men, you should have the moral responsibility to make a decision for both of you, even though it might be hard. I honestly believe that. I think that if you said it and you say it to yourself again, it's like if you don't see that person at your wedding, which I think is weird to say, but if you don't see yourself marrying this person or being with them for a long time or for making them your life partner, like there's a difference. Some people have open relationships. Some people have, polyamorous relationships. Some people have...
You covered enough.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many out there I don't even care to mention. But some people are just, they're swingers. But for whatever it is, if you're not willing to admit to yourself and to the other person that this relationship is no bueno, you're gutless to me. And that causes more harm than it does help for anybody. All right, folks. I think that's it. That's all we got for this one. My back is killing me. That's been the OG. That's been the instigator. We are always here for the Sunday Funday podcast. The hangover never sounded so good. I'm your host, Akil Patterson, and hopefully we'll have Juice and the new baby back real soon. But until then, have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Deuces!
Good one. Another good one.